Roster Watch Nation, welcome back. What is going on? This is the Roster Watch Dynasty Show, episode 3. It's Cody Carpentier and the Trash Man. We're back again. It's a short week. It's a short day because, well, I guess Monday was Martin Luther King Day, so it was a short week. And it's a short day because we're getting ready to travel this weekend for the Shrine Bowl and then the Senior Bowl.
The week is still the same length. You know.
It's still the same length, but I said it in my head and I said short week. It's not really a short week, but I guess kind of for some people with a holiday.
For work, yeah. I actually had the day off.
There you go.
And one of my other jobs.
One of your other jobs. There you go. Drinking the was it the athletic greens? Was it the athletic greens there? So big show, short show, Dynasty top 12 running backs we're going to be going through today. You can get those rankings over at RosterWatch.com. You can get everything over at RosterWatch.com that we're doing, including all the rookie spotlights that are going up. There's a QR code on the top right side of the screen. You could also go on over to RosterWatch.com. Championship weekend is this weekend, AFC Championships, NFC Championship, and the picks are in. We're continuing to crush through the process. I think this last weekend we hit 60% of the picks over on underdogfantasy.com, 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. You can go on over there and get our picks for championship weekend. There's a QR code right there on the screen as well. Trash Man, we talked about wide receivers last week. Let's talk about running backs this week. Huh?
Said, boy, did we.
We did, and there was interesting reactions. I think people really – I saw some people reacting like it's completely crazy to even have Ladd and T. Higgins in the same conversation, and some people – I had 2 people reply and say that they liked Ladd and T. Higgins. So I think that that's a vast I don't know. It's interesting. I thought we had a good conversation about those receivers. I think the whole top 20 in Dynasty right now is a great space. I can't wait to put the rookies into the receiver rankings, into the running back rankings when that time does come. But I want to talk about running backs today because I'm still sitting here with Bijan Robinson at number 1. He turns 23 this year, obviously. Same draft class as Jahmyr Gibbs. You have Jahmyr Gibbs as your running back 1. I think for me, I'll just state my case for Bijan. I think that the case with Bijan is he has Algier there, and he's proven himself consecutive seasons what he can do, and that I believe more in what Bijan's profile is as a long-term asset in a backfield where we just saw this guy take on 300 carries, north of 1,400 yards, another season of north of 1,400 yards from scrimmage. He finally tipped his toes into double-digit touchdowns. A lot of talent around him, similar to Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't think you can go wrong with either one of these guys, but I think longevity terms, I kind of lean to stay with Bijan here. Why Jahmyr Gibbs over Bijan?
I get more excited about Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, say you're starting a team next season and you need that home run hitter. It's going to be Gibbs every time. In my opinion, it's just like Bijan. I love Bijan as a player. I love him as a person. He seems like a great kid. He's more that slow and steady kind of, maybe Emmitt Smith kind of talent. Mm-hmm. Doesn't really necessarily show up on the film, the box score. I guess but at the end of the season, it's all added up. Whereas Jahmyr Gibbs is just, it's lightning. It's fireworks. And you see what he's capable of doing, even with David Montgomery on the field with him. And, people argue, well, Bijan's more of like, a bell cow back, but he's also sharing the field with Tyler Algier. So that guy's getting carries too. And I think Detroit's a better offense. That adds to the argument for me. Penix, I think he's going to be a good NFL quarterback, but I think he's going to have his growing pains. I don't think Atlanta's offense is as good as Detroit's offense, and Jahmyr Gibbs as maybe the key cog in one of the best offenses in the league. I think, and him still being a young player, and him, not really. I mean, he doesn't have. And maybe I'm wrong here, but I mean, I'm thinking about his injury history. It's not really crazy. For me, that all adds up to. I mean, really, what it is for me is he's on a better offense, and he's just as dynamic, if not more dynamic, a running back.
I agree wholeheartedly about the offense in totality. Is there any thought? I know Ben Johnson signed with the Bears this week. Is there any thought a worry about what could potentially be the next coordinator there?
Not really. I mean, I think they have a winning formula. I think they kind of know what's working for them, and it would behoove them to continue to go in that direction. So I'm hoping not. I mean, and that's the way of the NFL these days. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the running backs past that. I have one more guy in this kind of tier or this area, I guess you'd say, for the rankings, and then I have a kind of drop off a little bit down. You have two guys here still in the top 10 overall at 1 QB. Running back 3, we both have Breece Hall, but that next running back, you go Bucky Irving. We've talked about this on a show a couple weeks ago, having Bucky Irving up here at your running back 4. I go Devon Achane. But I have him a little bit lower in the overall rankings. I have Bucky Irving at running back 7, so that's after Achane, Saquon, and Jonathan Taylor. Bucky Irving turns 23 this year, and
Still a baby.
To be quite frank, like I kind of find myself, and this could be a massive conversation here, but I kind of find myself in a weird spot as far as belief. Liam Cohen, the offensive coordinator, went to Jacksonville and had an interview and didn't take the job, goes back to Tampa, signs a long-term OC extension. And Baker Mayfield, we know there's going to be there another year. Mike Evans is going to be there probably at least another year or two. It seems like everything's rather stable. We love their offensive line. Rachaad White is still there. Sean Tucker, as much as he hasn't really done anything, he did have one RB 1 week where he went nuclear. Do we, like, for me, putting a guy in the top 10 even and all the way up to the top 5 at running back is like, I know what I'm going to get out of this guy every single week. And now, towards the end of the season, I mean, we did, right? Consistency-wise, from Bucky Irving, after the bye week, it was 27, 27, 2, 13, and I think the 2 was the game he was like hurt. 13, 18, 23, and 16. It was consistency all the way through the fantasy playoffs. And even before that, he had a number of games that were 15, 16, 17, 18 points. If that's kind of where we're at as far as consistency, if you can pencil this guy in for 17, 18 fantasy points per game, I think top 10 is definitely warranted. Do you think that there's a ceiling that he can continue to push through to justify being top 5?
I mean, I definitely think so. I mean, that offense, a lot of the same key components going to the next season. I think they don't get worse. I think that Irving continues to be the 1A in that offense. I don't really see why he wouldn't continue where he left off, of the last half of this past season. And just looking at him, I mean, you see the talent on the field. You see that he's arguably a better running back than Rachaad White. And we never thought Rachaad White was a great running back in the first place. We thought he's a good pass catcher. We never thought he was a great or an elite between the tackles runner. Bucky Irving has shown that he can do the between the tackles running, and he can catch the ball too. I think that there really isn't any reason to, I mean, like if you're not giving me any reason to knock a guy down in the rankings, and he's in the same offense, I don't see a reason not to have him up there.
Rachaad White just finished his 3rd season in the NFL, regressed down to 144 carries, did have 51 receptions, but he enters the last year in his contract in Tampa. He turned 26 just 2 weeks ago. 26 years old 2 weeks ago. His cap hits $3.2 million, and he's a dead cap of $200,000. So if Tampa Bay is looking to clear $3 million in safety for them to go out and add a DB or potentially a receiver or something in a class that's full of running backs in this 2025 NFL draft class, where they've continued to hit on these late round running backs, and even Rachaad White, 3rd round, Bucky Irving, 4th round, Sean Tucker, 5th round, they could definitely look to expend Rachaad White and look elsewhere. So that obviously elevates Bucky Irving. After that, you go James Cook. I think James Cook is interesting.
Look at the last playoff game. It's just, I think we've underestimated James Cook.
Yes.
And he's kind of showing in this offense, he is really, he's the most reliable piece of that offense right now. I mean, you look at that receiver room. I mean, it's becoming basically like the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bills are. And that's where I thought they would go. to compete with the Chiefs. They don't have a marquee receiver necessarily, but they do have a stalwart running back in James Cook who can do it all.
I found myself the other day looking at it because, when James Cook was coming out in the draft, Dalvin was obviously in I think he was in his last year in Minnesota, and then he just transitioned to go to the Jets. And we just came off of 4 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. So I pulled up Dalvin's stats the other day. In Dalvin's age 22 season was his first year in the NFL. He had 355 yards. James didn't get to the NFL until he was 23. So in James's 23-year-old season, which was 2022, he rushed for 500 yards and he had 21 receptions. In Dalvin's age 23 season, he had 600 yards and he had 40 receptions. The next 4 consecutive seasons, Dalvin in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, age 24, 25, 26, 27, rushed for over 1,000 yards. He had 13, 16, 6, and 10 touchdowns in totality. James last year rushed for 1,000 yards, only 2 touchdowns. This year, his age 25 season, 1,016 rushing touchdowns. So, I mean, it sounds stupid. I'm pulling up his brother's stats, but and he's a slimmer version of his brother, but his brother was a savant at utilizing his vision to get into the end zone when they got down to the red zone. I saw that first person going to as many Viking games as I did. If James Cook is going to continue to be utilized in this way, where nobody really expected him to go double digits, let alone have 18 total touchdowns with James or with Josh Allen in that backfield. If he's going to do this for the next 2 or 3 years, you're going to be able to sell me pretty easily on bumping James Cook up. I bumped him up to 8. I still have him behind these older guys like Saquon, who turns 28 this year, but I think there's a case for James Cook. So overall for us at Roster Watch, it's Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs, obviously in a tie for number 1 overall, followed by Breece Hall. Then we have Jonathan Taylor and Bucky Irving, who are tied right there at running back 4. Devon Achane, Saquon Barkley, James Cook are the next 3. And then there's a tier breakdown. I want to talk about Saquon really quickly. He's entering his age 28 season this next year. He's currently on pace to be one of the most prolific running backs, have one of the most prolific running back seasons of all time when you take into account regular season plus postseason. I think he's only 120 yards away from eclipsing Terrell Davis's 2 elite seasons in 97 and 98 back-to-back with the Denver Broncos as far as total rushing yards in, again, like I said, regular plus postseason. That's a lot of wear. That's a lot of wear on a running back. Again, it's first year in Philadelphia, age 28. We know Saquon's a quote-unquote generational talent. That's a lot of wear and tear, though, on a body. We've seen kind of what happened with Christian McCaffrey. We also know Saquon's had his deal with knee injuries. I have him running back 6. You have him running back 7. We have him consensus up here in the top 10. What's kind of your outlook on Saquon?
It's another situation where he's in a great offense. And I think that it's one of these situations too, where, he is a generational talent, and he is somebody, when we saw him in the pre-draft process, we're at least Alex was I've never seen a running back this good. And that being the case, you play him until the wheels fall off. I would be remiss to not have Barkley high in the rankings and just have our Roster Watch Nation not get enough access to him in their drafts, and and him do this again next year. It's just there's the odds of him continuing to thrive in this offense, I think outweigh the chance of him maybe getting hurt. It's the benefits outweigh the cons for me.
All right, so that was our top 8. So like I said, the 8 guys are Bijan, Gibbs, Hall, Taylor, Irving, Achane, Barkley, and Cook. Now is where there's some float here. It's a little bit of a tier breakdown, I think, in the overall rankings, and a little more mix of thought, and that is at running back 9, 10, 11, 12, even 13, 14. At 9, you have Kyren Williams, and I have Chase Brown at 9. Conversely, I have Kyren at 12 and Chase Brown at 12, and you have Chase Brown at 12. Sorry. When you look at these two guys, to me, they kind of remind me of each other. They're a year apart in draft class, and Chase Brown feels like the new Kyren. And Kyren is a year longer in his contract. He's got 1 year left in the contract with Los Angeles, where Chase Brown has 2, and they've kind of put him into this situation. That's why I put Chase Brown ahead of Kyren, ahead of Josh Jacobs in my latest update, ahead of Tyrone Tracy in the latest update. You still have Kyren ahead of Chase Brown. Is that more because of Sean McVay, because of that offense, because of the belief in that offense, or is there another reason for Kyren?
I think it's that offense. I think that, even with other capable running backs in the backfield, Kyren has continued to take the mantle. And Chase Brown, I mean, it was opportunity, that got him this chance this past season. We weren't expecting Chase Brown to be the guy. It was a kind of a situation where it was necessity that he was getting that many touches. We never thought that Chase Brown would be really a bell cow back in the NFL. He didn't project to be a bell cow back in the NFL. He's at the Senior Bowl, and this is a guy who could catch passes, who would be a good third down back. And he's transitioned into this role well, but I don't know that he is going. I don't think that he will be without competition this next season for that lead back role.
I think that it's an interesting spot for sure. I think both spots. And the problem is, Trashman, is that we get to, I don't know what it's going to be, February, March, April, 3 months from now, 4 months from now, and all of these running backs do land. Like I was talking to Alex on the Orange Blood show yesterday about like Scattaboo. Like people are going to love Scattaboo, Cam Scattaboo, the running back from Arizona State. And he might not be like in the first 8 running backs drafted in the class. And he could end up in a spot where he's a good pass catcher. He could end up in one of these spots like Cincinnati or Los Angeles, and just all of a sudden you're like, well, this guy's going to play. What is that going to do to these 25-year-old, 26-year-old running backs? So I think they're both in weird spots. I just feel like Chase Brown, I have 1 more year of protection. Yeah. But even that, like you get a rookie in there. We saw what happened with a middle round running back with Bucky Irving entering the fold. Like a better running back just straight up gets more touches, and we think that Chase Brown can obviously get out touched. So I mean,
in Kyren Williams, you look at that again. Look at the playoff game. Great playoff game. I mean, you look at him run; he's powerful. And to me, that's why they're not similar backs. To me, I think Kyren Williams is a between the tackles, first 2 down back through and through. I think Chase Brown he's been playing that role, but I don't necessarily think of him as that kind of back.
There it is. All right, so that was our running back 9 and 10. After that, it's kind of a mixed bag. Trashman has Ken Walker at 10. He has Chuba Hubbard at 11, which Chuba Hubbard, I think we have a lot to figure out with that. But I completely get it. Contractually, they just gave him a big bag. He's got Jonathan Brooks there who's coming off of injury and dealing with injury, kind of like a Kendra Miller situation. I totally get the Chuba Hubbard thing. Chase Brown at 12, like we just talked about, and Travis Etienne at 13. I have Tyrone Tracy up at 11, Josh Jacobs at 10, and my RB 12 is Kyren Williams, who we just talked about. You can get all these rankings over at RosterWatch.com. The rankings are the Dynasty top 250. Become a pro or a premium member today, and you can get the 1QB top 250 and the Superflex top 250. The rookie rankings are coming along very quickly. We have the Shrine Bowl this week and the Senior Bowl next week. Soon the rookies will be in the rankings. I see Jamie over in the chat. Appreciate you for hopping in today. He says, where do you think Genty fits into the rankings? You will find out very soon. Probably going to be near that top 5, top 6, top 7. If I had to bet on that as far as day one goes. We do appreciate you guys all coming on, hanging out, clicking that like button, clicking subscribe here on Roster Watch. Until next time, we're going to have a busy week next week. Shrine Bowl, Senior Bowl. Stay locked in, stay tapped in. We appreciate you.
Peace.
This is Anthony Richardson, and you're listening to Roster Watch.
This is AJ Brown, and you're listening to Roster Watch.